I should have known something was wrong when my phone started buzzing at exactly 7:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. My boss, Jennifer, had never called me after hours, not once in the 3 years I'd worked at Crawford Marketing. She was strictly a 9 to 5 professional, the kind of woman who turned off her work phone the moment she left the office. So when her name flashed across my screen while I was sitting at dinner with my husband Tom, my first instinct was to ignore it. I'm Rebecca, and I thought I was living a perfectly ordinary life until that phone call changed everything. Tom and I had been married for 8 years, together for 12. We had our routines, our comfortable suburban existence, our Friday night movie dates and Sunday morning pancakes. I worked in marketing, he worked in accounting, and we were saving up for the house with the white picket fence and maybe a baby in the next few years. Normal, safe, predictable. That Tuesday started like any other. Tom had gotten home from work around 6, I'd made his favorite pasta dish, and we were sitting at our small dining table talking about our days. He was telling me about some boring audit he was working on when my phone lit up with Jennifer's call. Just let it go to voicemail, Tom said, reaching across to refill my wine glass. Whatever it is can wait until tomorrow. But something in my gut told me to answer it. Maybe it was the way Jennifer's name seemed to glow more urgently than usual on my screen, or maybe it was the fact that she'd never, not once, called me outside of work hours. My hand moved toward the phone almost without conscious thought. I should probably take this, I said, already swiping to accept the call. It might be important. Tom's face darkened slightly, but he nodded and continued eating his pasta. I pressed the phone to my ear, expecting to hear Jennifer's usual crisp, professional tone asking me about some forgotten deadline or client emergency. Instead, I heard something that made my blood freeze in my veins. Rebecca, thank God you answered. Jennifer's voice was barely above a whisper, shaky and desperate in a way I'd never heard before. I need you to listen very carefully and don't react. Don't let Tom know what I'm telling you. Can you do that? I felt the color drain from my face, but I forced myself to keep my expression neutral. Tom was watching me now, his fork paused halfway to his mouth, his eyes studying my face with an intensity that suddenly felt threatening rather than caring. Yes, I managed to say, my voice sounding surprisingly normal. What's the emergency at work? Jennifer's breath came out in a shaky exhale. Rebecca, there is no work emergency. I'm calling because I found something and I think you're in danger. I think Tom is not who you think he is. The fork slipped from my husband's hand and clattered against his plate. He was staring at me now with an expression I couldn't quite read, his head tilted slightly as if he was trying to hear both sides of the conversation. I understand, I said into the phone, my heart hammering so hard I was sure Tom could hear it. Can this wait until tomorrow morning, or do we need to handle it tonight? We need to handle it tonight, Jennifer whispered urgently. I'm at the office right now and I have documents you need to see. Financial records, background checks, things that Tom has been hiding from you. Rebecca, your husband isn't an accountant. He's never been an accountant. The company he claims to work for doesn't exist. I felt the room start to spin around me, but I kept my voice steady and professional. Okay, I can come in early tomorrow and we can review everything then. No, Jennifer's voice was sharp now. Not tomorrow. Tonight, and Rebecca, whatever you do, don't let Tom know where you're going. Make up an excuse, anything, but get out of that house. I'll explain everything when you get here, but please, you have to trust me. Your life might depend on it. Tom was standing now, moving around the table toward me with slow, deliberate steps. His eyes never left my face, and there was something in his expression that I'd never seen before. Something calculating, something dangerous. Of course, I said into the phone, forcing a smile. I'll see you soon. I hung up and looked at my husband, the man I'd shared a bed with for 8 years, the man I'd trusted with my heart, my future, my life. And for the first time since I'd known him, I was genuinely afraid of what he might do next. Tom's eyes were locked on mine as I set my phone back down on the table, and the silence between us felt heavy and dangerous. I could see him processing what he'd overheard, trying to figure out how much of Jennifer's side of the conversation he'd been able to catch. Work emergency? He asked, his voice casual, but there was something underneath it that made my skin crawl. Something predatory. Client crisis. I lied smoothly, standing up and moving toward the kitchen as naturally as I could. You know how these big campaigns get. One little problem and everyone panics. Tom followed me, and I could feel him watching my every movement as I rinsed my plate in the sink. Which client? Maybe I can help. You know I'm good with numbers. That innocent comment hit me like a physical blow. Tom had always positioned himself as my helpful, supportive husband who happened to work in accounting. He'd helped me with budgets, reviewed contracts, even done our taxes every year. How much of our financial life had I turned over to a man who might not even be qualified to balance a checkbook? It's the Morrison account, I said, naming a client I knew he was familiar with. Nothing too complicated, just some budget reconciliation that needs to be sorted out tonight. I turned around to face him, and that's when I noticed something that made my heart skip a beat. Tom was standing between me and the front door, his posture relaxed but positioned in a way that would make it difficult for me to leave without going through him. On a Tuesday night, he pressed. That seems unusual for Jennifer. She's never made you work late before. He was right, and we both knew it. Jennifer was famously protective of her employees' work-life balance. She'd never called any of us after hours, let alone demanded we come in for an evening emergency. Tom knew this because I'd told him countless times how much I appreciated having a boss who respected boundaries. Big client, big problems, I said with a shrug, moving toward the hallway where I kept my purse and car keys. You know how it is. But Tom was already moving, sliding smoothly into my path with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Why don't you call Jennifer back? See if this can wait until morning. We were having such a nice evening together. There it was. The first real sign that Tom knew exactly what Jennifer had called about. A normal husband would be annoyed about the work interruption, maybe even supportive of his wife handling a client emergency. He wouldn't be actively trying to prevent me from leaving. I really should get going, I said, trying to keep my tone light. The sooner I handle this, the sooner I can get back home to you. Tom's hand shot out and grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to stop me from moving. Rebecca, I think you should stay home tonight. I looked down at his hand on my wrist, then back up at his face. In 8 years of marriage, Tom had never physically restrained me, never grabbed me, never tried to control my movements. The fact that he was doing it now, combined with Jennifer's warning, sent ice through my veins. Tom, you're hurting me? I said quietly. He immediately released my wrist, his face shifting into an expression of concern and apology. I'm sorry, honey. I didn't mean to grab you like that. I worry about you driving at night when you're stressed about work. It was a good recovery, the kind of smooth explanation that would have satisfied me completely just an hour earlier. But now, with Jennifer's words echoing in my head, everything Tom said felt like a carefully constructed lie. I'll be fine, I said, stepping around him toward the closet where I kept my jacket. It's just across town. Which building? Tom asked. I could drive you. Keep you company. I froze with my hand on my jacket. In 3 years of working at Crawford Marketing, Tom had never once offered to drive me to the office. He'd never even asked which building it was in, despite the fact that I talked about work constantly. A supportive husband would know where his wife worked, would have visited, would have met her colleagues at company parties or holiday events, but Tom had never done any of those things. Every time I'd invited him to a work function, he'd had an excuse. Every time I'd suggested he stop by to meet Jennifer or see my office, he'd found a reason to decline. I'd attributed it to his introverted nature, his preference for staying home over socializing. Now I was realizing there might have been a much more sinister reason why Tom had never wanted to get too close to my work life. That's sweet of you to offer, I said carefully, but I'll be fine. Besides, you have that early meeting tomorrow, remember? You should get some rest. Tom's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. What early meeting? My heart sank. I'd been testing him, mentioning a fake meeting to see how he'd react. A real accountant, someone who actually had a demanding job with client obligations, would have immediately known whether or not he had an early meeting the next day. Never mind, I said quickly. I must be thinking of next week. But the damage was done. I could see in Tom's eyes that he knew I was testing him, just like he probably knew that Jennifer's call hadn't been about any work emergency. We were both pretending now, both playing roles in a marriage that I was starting to realize had been built on lies from the very beginning. Rebecca? Tom said, his voice taking on a different quality, something I'd never heard before. I think we need to talk. I looked at my husband, really looked at him, and tried to see past the familiar face to the stranger underneath. How long had he been lying to me? How many of our conversations, our intimate moments, our shared dreams for the future had been nothing more than performance on his part? We can talk when I get home, I said, pulling on my jacket with hands that were thankfully not shaking. I shouldn't keep Jennifer waiting. Tom stepped closer, and I realized he wasn't going to let me leave without a fight. Whatever secret he'd been hiding, whatever Jennifer had discovered, he was going to do everything in his power to keep me from finding out the truth. The man I'd loved and trusted for 12 years was about to become my enemy, and I had no idea how dangerous he really was. Tom's demeanor shifted completely in that moment, like watching someone remove a mask they'd been wearing for years. The concerned husband expression melted away, replaced by something cold and calculating that made me take an involuntary step backward. Rebecca, he said, and his voice was different now too. Flatter, more controlled. I said, we need to talk. Now. I clutched my car keys tighter and tried to project confidence I didn't feel. Tom, I really do have to go. We can discuss whatever this is when I get back. No. He said simply, and there was something final in that single word that made my blood run cold. You're not going anywhere until you tell me exactly what Jennifer said to you. I stared at my husband, this man I'd shared a bed with for 8 years, and realized I didn't know him at all. The Tom I thought I'd married would never speak to me in that tone, would never try to control my movements, would never look at me with such calculating coldness. She said there was a client emergency. I repeated, but my voice came out shakier than I intended. I told you that already. Tom laughed, but there was no humor in it. Rebecca, we both know that's not what she said. The question is, how much does Jennifer actually know? And how much is she guessing? The way he phrased that question sent ice through my veins. It wasn't the response of an innocent person being falsely accused. It was the response of someone who'd been caught and was now trying to assess the damage. I don't know what you mean, I said, but I was already backing toward the front door. Tom matched my movement, staying between me and the exit. Let me tell you what I think happened. I think your nosy boss has been doing some digging, probably because you mentioned something about our finances, or my work schedule that didn't add up. And I think she found some information that she doesn't fully understand, but that scared her enough to call you after hours. He was getting closer as he spoke, and I could see the calculation in his eyes. He was trying to figure out exactly what Jennifer knew so he could determine how big of a problem this was going to be. Tom, you're scaring me, I said, and it wasn't a lie. Whatever's going on, we can work through it. Just let me go to work, handle this client issue, and then we'll sit down and talk about everything. There is no client issue, Tom snapped, and for the first time in our entire relationship, he raised his voice at me. Stop lying to me, Rebecca. I heard enough of that conversation to know that Jennifer was warning you about something. About me. I pressed myself against the wall, my phone clutched in my other hand. Okay, I said quietly. You're right. Jennifer did say she found some information about you. But Tom, whatever it is, we can handle it together. We're married. We're a team. Tom's expression softened slightly, and for a moment I saw a flash of the man I'd fallen in love with. We were a team, he said sadly. But that's over now, isn't it? Once you know the truth, everything changes. What truth? I asked, though part of me was terrified to hear the answer. Tom ran his hands through his hair, and I could see him wrestling with some internal decision. Rebecca, I need you to understand something. Everything I've done, every lie I've told, it was to protect you. To protect us. What lies? But even as I asked the question, pieces were starting to fall into place in my mind. The company he worked for that I'd never been able to find online. The business trips that never seemed to have corresponding hotel charges on our credit card statements. The way he always insisted on handling our taxes and financial planning alone. My name isn't Tom Mitchell, he said quietly. It's Thomas Kowalski, and I'm not an accountant. I'm a federal informant working for the FBI. The world seemed to tilt around me. What? 3 years ago, I was arrested for running a financial fraud scheme. Nothing violent, nothing that hurt regular people, just some creative accounting with corporate tax shelters. The FBI offered me a deal, cooperate with an ongoing investigation, help them build cases against some major players in organized financial crime, and avoid prison time. I stared at him, trying to process what he was telling me. For some FBI operation. No. Tom's voice was sharp. Rebecca, that's not how it happened. I met you after I'd already been relocated, after I'd already started my new identity. I was supposed to stay single, keep a low profile, but then I met you and... He trailed off, and I could see genuine emotion in his eyes for the first time since this conversation started. And what? I demanded. And I fell in love with you, he said simply. Which was the stupidest thing I could have done, but I couldn't help it. You were so genuine, so trusting, so different from everyone else in my old life. I thought maybe I could make it work, have the operation and have you too. I felt like I was going to be sick. So our entire marriage has been a lie. Our house, our life together, our plans for the future. The feelings were real, Tom insisted. Everything between us, the love, the partnership, the dreams we made together, that was all real. But the framework, the identity I built it on, yes, that was a lie. What kind of operation? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know the answer. Tom hesitated, and I could see him calculating how much to tell me. I've been helping the FBI track money laundering operations through small businesses, companies that look legitimate on the surface but are actually cleaning money for criminal organizations. My heart stopped. Companies like Crawford Marketing. The look on Tom's face told me everything I needed to know. Rebecca, your boss isn't the innocent business owner she pretends to be. Crawford Marketing has been processing payments for some very dangerous people. That's why I couldn't let you get too involved with work functions, why I didn't want to meet your colleagues. I was trying to keep you separate from the investigation. I pressed my back against the wall, feeling like the floor was falling out from under me. You're saying Jennifer is a criminal. I'm saying Jennifer is in very deep with some people who don't hesitate to eliminate problems. And if she's calling you tonight, warning you about me, it means she's figured out who I really am, which means both of our lives are in serious danger. The room was spinning around me. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, my job was crumbling. This can't be real. This is insane. Rebecca, I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to listen to me very carefully. If Jennifer knows I'm an FBI informant, then the people she works for will know soon too. They'll assume you're involved, that you've been helping me gather information. We need to leave. Tonight. Right now. I looked at this stranger wearing my husband's face and felt a surge of anger cut through the shock. Leave. Tom. Or Thomas. Or whoever you are. I'm not going anywhere with you. You've been lying to me for 8 years. You've built our entire marriage on deception. You've put my life in danger without even telling me. And now you want me to run away with you. I want to keep you alive, Tom said desperately. Rebecca, these people don't just kill informants. They kill anyone who might have information. Wives, children, neighbors, anyone who could potentially testify. If you go to that office tonight, if you meet with Jennifer, you might never come home. I stared at him for a long moment, trying to separate the lies from the truth, trying to figure out if this was just another manipulation, or if he was genuinely trying to protect me. How do I know you're telling me the truth now? I ask, how do I know this isn't just another lie to keep me from finding out something worse? Tom reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. From it, he extracted a business card and handed it to me. Call that number. Ask for Agent Sarah Chen. Tell her you're Thomas Kowalski's wife and that our cover has been blown. She'll confirm everything I've told you. I looked down at the card. It looked official, but then again, so had every other part of Tom's fake identity. I don't know what to believe anymore. Then don't believe me. Tom said, call Jennifer back. Go to that meeting. See what she has to show you. But Rebecca, if I'm right about what's really going on, you need to be prepared for the possibility that walking into that office tonight might be the last thing you ever do. I clutched the FBI agent's card in my hand and looked at my husband, the man I'd loved for 8 years who had turned out to be a complete stranger. I had two choices: trust the man who'd been lying to me about everything for our entire marriage, or trust my boss who might be a money launderer working for dangerous criminals. Either way, I was about to find out just how much danger I was really in. I stood in my hallway holding that FBI business card, my mind racing through 8 years of marriage, looking for clues I'd missed. How had I been so blind? But even as I questioned everything, a part of me was analyzing Tom's story for holes, for inconsistencies that might reveal yet another layer of deception. If you're really an FBI informant, I said slowly, then why hasn't your handler contacted me? Why don't I have some kind of protection or emergency protocol? Tom's face tightened. Because you weren't supposed to be involved. I was supposed to maintain my cover completely. The FBI doesn't even know I'm married. It wasn't part of my authorized identity. That answer sent a chill through me. So you went rogue. You created a whole unauthorized life, married me without telling your handlers, and put both of us in danger. Yes. Tom said simply, and the honesty of it was somehow more terrifying than any lie could have been. I fell in love with you, and I made a series of incredibly selfish decisions that have now put you at risk. I know how that sounds, Rebecca, but I need you to understand. Everything I felt for you was real, even if the circumstances weren't. I looked down at Agent Chen's business card again. Call her, I said, holding out my phone to Tom. Right now. I want to hear this conversation. Tom hesitated. Rebecca, if I call Agent Chen and she confirms my story, there's no going back. We'll both be in federal protective custody within hours. Our lives as we know them will be over. Our lives as we know them are already over. I replied, the moment you told me the truth, everything we built together ceased to exist. So call her. Tom took my phone with shaking hands and dialed the number. I watched his face as it connected, and I could see genuine fear in his eyes. Agent Chen, this is Thomas Kowalski. I have a code red situation. Yes, my cover has been compromised. But no, that's not the worst part. My wife is involved. I could hear a woman's voice on the other end, sharp and urgent, but I couldn't make out the words. Tom listened for a moment, then handed the phone to me. She wants to talk to you, he said. I took the phone with trembling hands. Hello? Mrs. Mitchell, this is Agent Sarah Chen, FBI. I need you to listen very carefully. Your husband should not have involved you in this operation. But now that he has, your safety is our primary concern. I need to know exactly what's happened in the last 24 hours. The agent's voice was calm but urgent, professional but not unkind. Somehow, hearing another woman's voice made the whole situation feel more real and more terrifying at the same time. My boss called me tonight. I said. She said she'd found information about Tom that I needed to see. Financial records, background checks. She said the company he works for doesn't exist. I heard Agent Chen swear softly. How much does your boss know about your husband's activities? I don't know. She just said I needed to come to the office tonight and that I might be in danger. Absolutely do not go to that office, Agent Chen said firmly. Ms. Mitchell, your boss has been under surveillance for 6 months. Crawford Marketing is a front operation for a money laundering scheme that processes payments for several organized crime families. If she's calling you after hours, if she knows about your husband's real identity, then she's either been compromised herself or she's trying to draw you into a trap. My legs gave out, and I slid down the wall to sit on the floor. This isn't real. This can't be happening. I know this is overwhelming, Agent Chen continued, but I need you to focus. Are you at home right now? Is your husband with you? Yes. Good. I'm sending a team to your location now. Do not leave the house. Do not answer the door for anyone except federal agents with proper identification. And do not take any more calls from your boss. Can you do that? I looked up at Tom, who was pacing back and forth in front of me. How long will it take for your team to get here? 20 minutes, maybe less. Mrs. Mitchell, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. In the 3 years your husband has been working this operation, have you noticed anything unusual about your financial situation? Any unexpected money, expensive purchases that didn't match your salaries, anything that seemed too good to be true? I thought about our lifestyle, the nice house, the expensive vacations, the fact that we never seemed to struggle financially despite both of us supposedly working mid-level jobs. We always seemed to have more money than we should have, I admitted. Agent Chen was quiet for a moment. Mrs. Mitchell, I need to prepare you for the possibility that your husband hasn't been entirely truthful with you about the extent of his involvement in this operation. We'll sort all of that out once you're both in protective custody. But right now, the important thing is keeping you safe. She hung up and I handed the phone back to Tom with shaking hands. She's sending a team? I said. Tom nodded and sat down on the floor next to me. Rebecca, I need to tell you something else before they get here. Something I should have told you years ago. My heart sank. More lies. More truth, he said. The money we've been living on, it wasn't just from the FBI stipend they gave me for cooperating. Some of it was money I skimmed from the accounts I was supposed to be monitoring. Not enough to hurt the investigation, but enough to give us a better life than we would have had otherwise. I stared at him in disbelief. You stole money? From an FBI operation? I justified it by telling myself that the money was stolen anyway, that it was going to be seized as evidence eventually, that taking a small percentage wouldn't matter. But the truth is, I wanted to give you nice things. I wanted us to have the life you deserved, even if I couldn't earn it legitimately. Every revelation made everything worse. So you're not just a liar and an informant, you're also a thief. Yes, Tom said quietly. And when the FBI finds out about the money, I'll probably go to prison anyway. The deal I made with them doesn't cover unauthorized theft from evidence accounts. I buried my face in my hands. Who are you? Who is the man I've been married to for 8 years? I'm someone who made a series of terrible decisions, Tom said. I'm someone who got caught up in criminal activity, then got caught by law enforcement, then tried to play both sides to create a life I thought I deserved. I'm someone who fell in love with an honest, trusting woman and lied to her about everything except how much I loved her. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text message. The sender was Jennifer. Rebecca, where are you? I've been waiting at the office for an hour. The information I have about Tom is urgent. It involves people who could hurt you if they think you know what I know. Please come now, or at least call me back. I showed the text to Tom, and his face went white. She's trying to get you to come to her. That's not good. Maybe she's genuinely trying to help. I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it anymore. Rebecca, think about it logically. If Jennifer had discovered that I was an FBI informant, would her first instinct be to call my wife and ask her to come to the office alone? Or would it be to contact law enforcement, or to disappear, or to reach out to whoever she's been working with to warn them? I looked at the text message again, and now the wording seemed different, more urgent and desperate than helpful. You think she's working with the people you've been investigating? I think Jennifer knows her operation has been compromised, and she's trying to figure out how much damage has been done. You're the weak link, the informant's wife who might have information that could hurt her or her associates. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Jennifer. Rebecca, I'm coming to your house. We need to talk face to face. Don't trust Tom, he's been lying to you about everything. Tom grabbed my hand. We need to get out of here. Now. Agent Chen said to wait for the federal team. Agent Chen doesn't know that your boss is on her way here. Rebecca, if Jennifer shows up before the FBI does, we're both dead. I looked at my phone, at the text from my boss, at the business card for Agent Chen, at my husband who was apparently a career criminal turned federal informant turned thief. Everything I thought I knew about my life had been stripped away in the span of 2 hours. Okay, I said, standing up. But I'm driving. Tom nodded and grabbed our emergency cash from the kitchen drawer. Money I now realized had probably been stolen from criminal organizations under FBI surveillance. As we headed for the garage, I caught sight of my reflection in the hallway mirror. The woman looking back at me was someone I didn't recognize. Her eyes were hard, suspicious, calculating. She looked like someone who'd been betrayed by everyone she trusted, someone who was learning to trust no one but herself. I was becoming someone I'd never wanted to be, but someone I was apparently going to need to be, if I wanted to survive whatever came next. We made it exactly 3 blocks from our house before I saw the headlights in my rearview mirror. A black sedan, following too close, matching every turn I made. Tom noticed it at the same time I did. That's not the FBI, he said grimly. Federal agents don't tail suspects in black sedans like some movie cliché. I pressed harder on the accelerator, my mind racing through escape routes. So who is it? Either Jennifer's people, or the criminals she works with, or... Tom paused and his voice got very quiet. Or it's the FBI and Agent Chen was lying about sending a protective team. That possibility hadn't occurred to me, but now it seemed obvious. You think your handler is compromised? I think everyone in this operation has been playing multiple sides from the beginning, Tom replied, including me. I took a sharp right turn into a shopping center parking lot, hoping to lose our tail in the maze of parked cars. The black sedan followed. In my mirror, I could see at least 2 figures in the front seat. Rebecca, Tom said quietly, there's something else I need to tell you. The night Jennifer called, it wasn't the first time she tried to contact you. She's been leaving voicemails on our landline for 3 days. I deleted them before you could hear them. Even now, even when we were potentially fleeing for our lives, the lies continued. What did she say in the voicemails? That she knew who I really was. But also that she wanted to offer you protection. That the FBI operation was about to go wrong. And that innocent people were going to get hurt. I stared at him as I drove, processing this final betrayal. So Jennifer might have been trying to save me, and you prevented her from warning me. Tom nodded miserably. I was trying to buy time, to figure out how to extract us both safely. I thought I could control the situation. The black sedan was gaining on us now. In about 30 seconds, we were going to find out whether the people following us wanted to arrest us, interrogate us, or kill us. But here's the real twist that neither Tom nor I saw coming as we pulled out of the shopping center. 3 more cars joined the chase. Not chasing us, casing the black sedan that had been following us. My phone rang. Agent Chen, Mrs. Mitchell, are you and your husband safe? I think so. There are cars everywhere. Good, those are our people. The sedan following you contains 2 hired killers sent by Jennifer's organization. We've been tracking them all evening, waiting for them to lead us to you. I pulled over and watched through my mirrors as federal agents surrounded the black sedan. Agent Chen, what happens now? No, you both disappear. New names, new lives, federal protection for as long as it takes to prosecute this case. Your husband's cooperation just helped us bring down a multi-million-dollar money laundering operation. 6 months later, I'm living in a small town in Montana under a name I can't share with you. Tom, whose real name I'm still learning to use, is serving 2 years in minimum security for the money he stole, but he'll be released into protective custody. Jennifer and 3 associates were convicted of money laundering and conspiracy. The black sedan contained evidence that would have made me disappear permanently. But here's what I want you to think about. How well do you really know the people closest to you? Tom lived a complete double life for 8 years, and I never suspected anything. Your spouse, your boss, your best friend. What secrets might they be keeping? Comment below if you've ever discovered that someone you trusted was living a lie. And if you're in a relationship where things don't quite add up, where your partner is evasive about work or money or their past, trust your instincts. Sometimes the person sleeping next to you is the most dangerous stranger you'll ever meet. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about deception, betrayal, and the lies we tell ourselves about the people we love. Because after living through this, I've learned that everyone has secrets. The only question is how deadly those secrets really are.